Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas joins me now, a veteran of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Senator Cotton, good to have you with us. These guys are tough. They've slept in a lot of tough places and probably worse than the garage, but it's an insult to their service, no doubt.
Well, yeah, Martha, it's safe to say that most of those troopers have slept in much tougher places than a parking garage, but it shouldn't have happened. I'm not sure why it happened. I'm glad it was corrected quickly and they were readmitted into the Capitol complex, and we should get to the bottom of why it happened. But I think it underscores a broader reality, Martha. It's time to send home the troops. What happened on January 6th was a failure of the senior leadership of the Capitol Security Services to anticipate what was widely speculated about on social media, to prepare their police officers with riot gear and proper rules of engagement, and to ask for backup from the National Guard. That was a failure of the senior leadership of the Capitol Security Services and the Washington, D.C. mayor. Now, the National Guard rushed to the scene on January 6th, and we saw over 25,000 National Guard there for the last 2 weeks to help protect the Capitol from the inauguration, during the inauguration. But the inauguration is over. We don't want to turn our Capitol into an armed fortress. It's time for these National Guard troopers to go home to their families and to their jobs and their communities. If there appears to be credible threats in the future, then the Capitol Police can be prepared for it. They can rely on federal law enforcement agencies like the FBI and the Park Police to back them up. And if necessary, the Department of the Army can have the National Guard from Washington and Maryland and Virginia on rapid standby. We don't have to see a repeat of what we saw on January 6th, but we also don't have to turn our Capitol, the people's house, into an armed fortress.
Yeah, there's a practical response to the threat and a proportionate response to the potential threat at the Capitol that can be met by the forces that you discuss. And we know that already Florida and Texas have recalled their National Guard. I believe New Hampshire also recalled its National Guard. 25,000 is an overwhelming force that does not appear to be necessary, and they can get back to business and be ready for whatever is next to come on their agenda. I want to ask you about a couple of other quick things, if I may, Senator Cotton, and that is the renewal of the START treaty, which is going to be part of the Biden White House agenda. Here's a statement by John Kirby, chief Pentagon spokesman, on this. He says, "We cannot afford to lose New START's intrusive inspection and notification tools. Failing to swiftly extend New START would weaken America's understanding of Russia's long-range nuclear forces." So they're ready to re-sign that deal for 5 years. I know President Trump's administration wanted to renegotiate it, felt that it was weak and that it needed to be strengthened. Your thoughts?
This is a very bad decision, Martha. It puts America's national security at risk. The New START treaty is a one-sided treaty that favors Russia. The way you know that is Russia has been pleading for a 5-year extension with no conditions and no other concessions. The Trump administration was right to refuse that. Unfortunately, the Biden administration, on their very first full day in office, granted that major concession to Russia and to Vladimir Putin. So I guess after 4 years of the Democrats beating their chest about Russia and continuing on and on about the Russia collusion hoax, have now gone back to their old, weak, dovish ways of appeasing Russia. We are at the risk, Martha, of facing nuclear overmatch by the combined nuclear forces of Russia and China. And it was a terrible decision for the Biden administration to simply fold their cards and give Vladimir Putin exactly what he wanted on their very first full day in office.
Yeah, you have said that there are other technologies, other warfare that Russia is working on, and that they fall outside of this treaty, that we need to expand this treaty in order to encapsulate those other threats that are out there. What falls short if we re-sign this?
Well, so Martha, the New START treaty covers what's called the traditional nuclear triad, air-launched cruise missiles from bombers, sea-launched ballistic missiles from submarines, and our missiles that are based in ground silos. But it doesn't cover tactical nuclear weapons, the smaller nuclear warheads in which Russia has many, many times what the United States has, or some of these very new, very sophisticated weaponries that also have nuclear devices on them as well that Vladimir Putin has boasted about at his annual press conferences. Those are just some more of the reasons why the New START treaty is one-sided and benefits Russia. It ties one hand behind America's back, but it leaves Russia free to continue to develop all these other nuclear technologies while not requiring China to do anything, while China builds nuclear forces at a breakneck pace.
Yeah, it seems curious to not want to at least open up that negotiation and get some more things put into it before you sign a 5-year deal. I mentioned the reasons why the Pentagon believes that it's a good idea. Last minute here, I just want to read you this with regard to a totally different topic, the 40th anniversary of Roe v. Wade. President Biden marked the 48th anniversary of the Supreme Court's landmark ruling establishing the right to an abortion by reaffirming his support for enshrining abortion rights in federal law. Your reaction to that, Senator, before we go today?
Well, Joe Biden also announced that he would repeal the Mexico City policy, which will allow taxpayer dollars once again go to promote and provide abortion around the country. I think it's a sad fact that the Biden administration, its first week in office, wants to do more to encourage abortion, to make abortion more common, as opposed to trying to help women in need so we can save every single unborn child so they can live a full and happy life.
Senator Tom Cotton, thank you very much, sir. Good to see you today.